Emergency podcast, guys. Max Meyer, the Marlins' best starter, the 19th ranked starting pitcher in all of Major League Baseball in 2024. The guy who's responsible for 2 of the 3 wins for the Marlins in 2024. Yes, that Max Meyer has been optioned to AAA. Make it make sense, baby. This is Locked on Marlins.
You are Locked on Marlins, your daily Florida Marlins podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings. Welcome to England. Oh boy, I can't even speak. Anyway, I'm your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up, of course, at Miami Marlins _UK. There's a lot going on here right now. How about the new graphics packages, by the way? And how about Locked On going for the Florida Marlins? The tip of the cap to them guys. Boy, oh boy, what is going on today? Monday, the 15th of April. Thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day, guys. This is your team every day, of course. For those listening in today, you may wish that the Marlins were not your team on a day like this. There's a lot of news and all of it negative predominantly. This is off the back of a Sunday game that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to watch. Apart from the 9th inning and apart from the final strike, where Marcell Ozuna with a 3-run shot and a Tanner Scott blowy. Boy, oh boy, that is a blown save in my terminology, by the way. Nevertheless, there is a YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe over on YouTube and also join me, particularly in the comments. And I particularly expect the comment section to be alive today. The breaking news, Max Meyer has been optioned to AAA. As we know, because we've all been watching the games, Max Meyer has by far been the best Marlins starter. By far. You could look at it and say his first 2 starts, maybe a couple of cupcakes in there. Like the Angels lineup, the Cardinals. But Max Meyer went toe-to-toe with the Bravos and he overpowered them. He was the best pitcher on the day, even though, and I'm talking about across the league, he was an absolute stud on the day. He's been an absolute stud for the Marlins all season long. 17 innings of work for Max Meyer, 2-0 and a 2.12 ERA. Stunning work. And he's also had 14 Ks as well, by the way. So, Max Meyer, option to AAA. What does it say to you as a fan, and to me as a fan, because I'm also a fan, I'm just a fan with the podcast, of course. What does it say to you when the Marlins... Listen, let's just actually hold on a minute. Let's go back a touch. The reason that this conversation is happening is Edward Cabrera is back. Eddie Cabrera is back today. He starts today. AJ Puck, by all accounts, ill. We'll wait to see what this actually means for Puck, but we'll see. Supposedly he's ill. He's sliding back to the Wednesday start. Eddie Cabrera joins on his regular rest routine. So Eddie Cabrera back. There had to be a corresponding move. What could that move be? Could it be Birch Smith, maybe? Could it be anyone? Anyone. But no, it's Max Meyer down to AAA. Which is extremely disappointing for the fans for many reasons. Because, like I mentioned, he's been by far the best Marlins pitcher. He's been the ace of the staff. The Marlins have decided to option the ace. Jesus Luzardo, the de facto ace after Sandy went down and maybe Yuri went down. Jesus Luzardo has not been good. He hasn't. You know, Weathers has been okay. Rogers has been okay. But Max Meyer, a class above everyone. Optioned. Okay. The plan originally for Max Meyer was to start in AAA. Even though he had a stunning spring. He looked great. There was a lot of positivity around Max Meyer, but he was optioned. Peter Bendix during this offseason. One eye to the future, one eye to the present. And also we are looking to restock the farm. Which all means, when you strip all of that spin away, means we are going through a rebuild. We would like to not be that competitive this year. Or we're not going to spend any money. And we're probably not going to be competitive because we'd like to gain a really high draft pick. There's obviously a lottery, so you can't guarantee the number one pick or anything like that. But nevertheless, they want to be picking in the top 5. So Peter Bendix's method of let's one eye for the future, one eye for the present, basically means we're rebuilding. Spoke about this for many months on this podcast. It was pretty clear. The language, if you listen to what he says, you know, he's not going to come out and say the words, we are in a rebuild, we are not rebuilding. He's not going to say that. But if you strip it away, that's what he was saying. And I told you that. You know it. Everyone knows it. Everyone in their heart of hearts knows it. That was the situation. You bring in a Arraez guy and he starts talking about the farm system. You know what's about to happen. And it's happening right in front of us. The bad news is for us, this is happening after 16 games. In reality, it already happened before the offseason. But you could kind of understand it in the offseason. You could kind of understand this decision when you had Luzardo, Yuri Perez, a optionless Eddie Cabrera. You have AJ Puck, who they decided they wanted to stretch out, and Trevor Rogers, and Braxton Garrett. Is that 6? Yeah, that was 6. Yuri's obviously now on the island, so that problem's gone away. But they had a lot of talent around, hence why they were having these discussions around trades. Max Meyer he planned to start in AAA to start the season. And that was the reason given is, well, we're going to, he's got an innings limit and we're nursing him back and development, etc. We have to be totally honest. Max Meyer in spring looked like one of the best 5 starters in the organization. He'd earned his spot, but he wasn't given his spot. He was sent down, spun as something. But the reason is, if you look at it, the cold light of day, the reason Max Meyer's, down there is it service time manipulation? Probably. But the reality is with Max Meyer, you don't have to manipulate the service time because he's coming back from TJ. There's an easy way and an easy out for the organization to shut him down later in the year. While he's rolling now, keep him rolling. Doesn't make any sense. So anyway, the Marlins' plan for Max Meyer was to start in AAA. As soon as Edward Cabrera and Braxton Garrett started to look like they were coming back pretty much at the same time, over the weekend, as you guessed, if you follow me on Twitter, I started to think about this. Well, what's going to be the move? What's the corresponding moves going to be made? There's still one to be made with Braxton Garrett. But you look at the rotation and you look at the decisions that were made headed into the season. We're only 3 weeks in, guys. We're only 3 weeks in. And you look at that and you think, well, what's changed? You're looking at AJ Puck now going, he's rancid. Everyone's saying on Twitter now, every response, Puck, get him out the rotation. He's terrible. He's a waste of time, etc. He's only had 3 starts, to be honest. He's getting better in every start. It's still not good. It's still not good. But he is getting better. He couldn't get any worse. The first start was one of the worst starts I've ever seen. It was like an Edward Cabrera start in 2023. One of those. It's one of the worst starts I'd seen. So it couldn't really get any worse for Puck, but he is improving. He is improving. And to then just pull the plug after all the effort you've put in through spring, through the offseason, and into the early part of the season, it does feel a touch too early to pull the plug on that. So I was looking at thinking, and then Trevor Rogers pitched well. Skip Schumacher as well spoke really highly of Trevor after the game. So I was looking at going, okay, Luzardo's a lock because, well, he has to be. Trevor now's a lock. AJ Puck, in some ways, because of the developmental curve he's on, feels like a lock. They've invested a ton into getting him into this spot. You've got to let it play out, particularly in a club that's rebuilding. And so for Puck, I think he's going to be allowed to continue. You then look at the original decision, and the decision was Ryan Weathers to start as a swingman. Max Meyer to start in AAA. We're only 3 weeks in, guys. And so when I looked at it, Peter Bendix, he just defers back to the decisions he'd made, irrespective of performance. It doesn't matter what you've put on tape. It doesn't. The decisions were made. Max to AAA. Weathers to the bullpen. Doesn't matter that those two have been the best starters. And Trevor Rogers. A lot of people talking about Trevor Rogers too. Should he be in this rotation? Should he be in AAA? He does have options, so he could be. Nevertheless, the optics in this situation are not great. They are not great. A team that is 3-13 is optioning down their best starter by some distance, and the 19th ranked starter by ERA, if you use ERA anyway, which is an easy metric to use. Qualified starters, ERA, Max Meyer is 19th in Major League Baseball. He's a top 20 arm. And the Marlins are 3-13. And they've sent him down. What does that say to you as a fan? It says the front office purposefully is trying not to win. I'd love for baseball. Baseball has tried their best to incentivize situations where clubs will promote talent quicker and they're rewarded for that. I'd love to see it in reverse. This, for me, is a clear manipulation of some sorts. Like, this type of activity is not good for the game. The Marlins, and listen, I'm a Marlins fan, and for this club to be successful, clearly based on Peter Bendix's method, they have to draft well, develop well. I absolutely, as a Marlins fan, do not want to see them punished by draft picks being taken away. But this type of activity should be extremely discouraged, and it should be outlawed. You can't have a guy that's a top 20 pitcher that's then optioned. You can't. After 3 starts. And then what's he going to do? He's going to go to AAA and carry on throwing innings. And then the back end of the year, they go, hey, Max is out of innings. It's absolute lunacy. Lunacy. I hope MLB come down on the Marlins here. I hope they strip them of a pick. Or in the future, this type of activity is discouraged. It's bad for the game. And it's bad for the game for specifically this reason. Because you've got the whole fan base going bananas, saying, I'm not going to follow this team anymore. I don't care about the Marlins anymore. Enough is enough. They're actively trying not to win. I'm not going to watch them or waste my time or my money on this club. That is bad for baseball. And Major League Baseball should absolutely step in to try and sort that one out. Tons to get into here. I'm going to carry on talking about Max Meyer after the ads, but we got to hit the ads. And there's 2 of them. It's a 2-ad extravaganza. So let's hit those. We'll keep it rolling. This first ad, it's brought to you by our good friends over at eBay Motors. And you know I love this one, for sure. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time. Or your money back, baby, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, guys. We now have a new ad, new graphics, and this one looks fun. Our good friends over at Monopoly Go. Yes, sir. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. We can feel you there. You're feeling low, not sure you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you dig deep. Lift your head up and say to yourself, time to get back in the game, pull off some bank heists, and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game, Monopoly Go, lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the new Monopoly you love, but on your phone anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards. Make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball. Charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, guys, back here with me, Peter Pratt, on Monday, the 15th of April. It's an emergency pod. Sun's starting to go down here in the UK. Sun has already set, unfortunately, seemingly anyway, on this Marlins season. Not only are they 3-13, but now they have optioned their best starting pitcher down to AAA. We will wait to see how long that will be. That's going to be a really interesting point here, is how long will Max spend in AAA? How many innings? How many starts will he waste? And that is a purposeful use of language. How many starts and innings will he waste in AAA? Max has nothing. There's no point in Max Meyer being in AAA. There isn't. And he's going to go down there and throw 5-6 innings a go. I don't know what's going to happen. He's going to be mentally in a frustrated state, because why wouldn't you? You've just pitched your best ever game against one of the best lineups that there's ever been in some ways. And you've dominated them. You've done everything right. Everyone's talking about Max Meyer. And you're optioned. How does that feel mentally? It's a test. It's a big test. It wouldn't have felt good in spring because Max already knew. I already knew. Everyone already knew. Everyone watched the games. Kind of. Spring games. And everyone knew Max looked ready. He was ready. He was ready the last time he came up. He just got hurt. Many people will point to the fact that I've spoken about Max saying, I need to see it on tape. I need to see it and believe it, because we didn't get enough time at the big league level last time. But now we've seen it. We know. We now know. Max Meyer is legit. The Marlins are not. The 2024 season is not legit. Edward Cabrera's up. That's exciting in many ways. There's been a lot of false dawns with Edward Cabrera, though. We've spoken about him like he's going to morph into Sandy Alcantara for many years. He's been in this Marlins organization his entire career. He's been around Mel Stottlemyre his entire career, effectively. We haven't seen it from Eddie Cabrera. When are we going to see it? I don't know. What we do know is they were actively trying to trade Eddie Cabrera. So the interesting part here is, do the Marlins look to move Eddie Cabrera sooner rather than later? Is that what needs to happen? Is this a showcase? Do you try and move Cabrera? I mean, there's so many pitching injuries happening that Eddie Cabrera could be the one. You could move him now. But I'm really interested to see what Edward Cabrera we get back. His last start at AAA was immense. Lights out. Immense. I want Eddie Cabrera to be good. Spoke about it in the offseason. You look at his Savant page, it's incredible. Apart from one bar, which this year is the Tanner Scott bar. Back the Tanner Scott bar, the walks. First percentile in walk percentage. Boy, oh boy. We need Eddie. If he can fix that, as we've said it for years, if he can fix it, he can be a stud. He can be a stud. And frankly, for this rebuild, because we are in a rebuild, the Marlins and Peter Bendix is desperate for Eddie Cabrera to be good, to show it. 3, 4, 5 starts of Eddie Cabrera. 1, 2 walks max. Ton of strikeouts, you name it. Health. I get the sense this is an audition. Not for the Marlins, but this is an audition for 29 other clubs. Peter Bendix desperately wants to move Edward Cabrera. He wants to get this rebuild started. Eddie Cabrera is already one of the chosen ones. Jesus Luzardo will be another chosen one. Unfortunately, his trade stock is potentially decreasing. I know it's only been a few starts, so you shouldn't dig into it too much. But with all of these guys, control is just tick, 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 tick. It ticks away. Control is king in this. Control equals value. For every single one of these guys on the Marlins roster right now, that the organization is actively hoping that they don't win, each day that passes, each game that passes is wasted. It's a risk. Every day is a risk. We've just seen Jake Burger go down. He's on the IL now, an oblique. That'll probably be a month, so we'll see Burger kind of mid-May, probably at best case. So that's Burger down. Bruhan, he hurt his knee. He's out today. You know, roster moves happen, but this is all such high risk. What happens if Arraez goes out there and, tears an ACL? It's possible. How would that impact the Marlins' plans? Sizably. Just want to talk about Arraez briefly. I'm going to hit the final ad. Boy, oh boy. Arraez, for me, I'm going to get into this in more detail at some point, but my snap reaction is the Marlins are completely botched up this Arraez situation because heading into this season, back-to-back batting titles, looked a stud, but just 2 years of control remaining. It's getting expensive. What's next year going to be? 15 mil, somewhere around that range. Problem is now, Arraez hasn't quite had the start he was hoping for, or the Marlins were. Defensively, he's fell off a cliff. He looks, last year, to me, to the eye, he looked okay at second. The numbers didn't suggest it, but to the eye, it looked okay. I know baseball clubs aren't like fans and don't use their eyes because everyone's looking at spreadsheets, so the truth would have probably been uncovered. But the truth is even more glaring right now that Arraez defensively at second base is a non-starter really at this point. So you now have a situation where what seemed to be one of your biggest trade assets is a guy that is a glorified singles hitter that right now isn't hitting enough singles, that can't defend anywhere, can't run, is on 10 million, less than 2 years of control, and will be owed 15 million next year probably. Man, oh man, to me that return sounds like two slapdick prospects, two middle relievers coming back from the Marlins for Luis Arraez. And that, for me, will probably be and go down as the biggest malpractice that Peter Bendix has had. The biggest mistake, probably. When we look back at Peter Bendix's tenure with the Marlins, this could be already his biggest mistake. Not moving Luis Arraez this offseason. When he already knew, let's be clear about it, one eye to the present, one eye to the future means we are already rebuilding. He already knew 24 was a wash. He could have used the white flag emoji before game one, but he didn't. PR spin came in, but maybe his biggest mistake will be hanging on to Luis Arraez after the season he had, and then now the start we've all seen. Offensively, it kind of still looks like Arraez. He's getting a little bit unlucky, etc., etc. But the defense is a big concern. The money owed, the control, everything's ticking away, everything's going against it. The value is declining and plummeting. Big mistake for Bendix. Let's hit the final ads. Then I want to carry on this conversation. No positivity today, just pure, hard rants. All right, guys, final ad of the day. It's another new one. It's another new one, guys. Locked On are absolutely on fire here. It's our good friends over at Yahoo Finance. And let's get straight to the point. You want to grow your portfolio to deal with the rising costs of inflation, to pay off your debt or your mortgage, pretty much anything standing in the way of you and financial freedom, right? With Yahoo Finance, you can get access to news, data, see, I use the American version of that, data and tools that you need in order to help reach that financial freedom. When it comes to your financial future, you think you've done it all. You've saved, you've researched, you've invested all you can. Now, you need to take those investments to the next level by using what every financial great uses. Yahoo Finance. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for that extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the number one finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, emergency podcasts, original editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com. The number one financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's Yahoo Finance. All right, guys, final segment here with me, Peter Pratt. Monday, the 15th of April. Max Meyer optioned to AAA. As you can sense, I am not overly excited at that decision. I'm struggling to actually understand the why. Why to option Max Meyer? Someone on Twitter replied to me and said, if you ever are wondering why, then just think of the finance. That's all I can come up with. There's a financial reason. Financial reason is a couple of starts down in AAA. There's a guaranteed extra year of control for the Marlins. So there's that one. There is that one. Equally, this was the plan. It was the plan headed into the year. Plans can change, by the way. I just want to call that out. There's no reason to stick with the plan if it's the wrong one. It looks like Max Meyer is a stud. An absolute stud, by the way. I love Max Meyer. I love what I've seen from him. Because there was question marks. Is he a starter? Can he just do it with 2 pitches? Where's the changeup? In 3 starts, Max Meyer's answered that. In the start against the Braves, Max Meyer answered that with aplomb. We saw the changeup working effectively. Jarred Kelenic walked off the field. He didn't even know his own name. He didn't even know how to pronounce his own name after facing Max Meyer and a barrage of changeups. Yes, you heard that correctly. Kelenic was destroyed by a Max Meyer changeup or 2. Or 3, I think. I think he went 3 changeups. Kelenic didn't know what hit him. It was stunning to see. This is the evolution of Max Meyer, and we've seen it. And we want to continue to see it. Why send him down to AAA? There's other guys that could go down there. It's all about the money. It must be. It must be. I don't know how this season's going to play out. I know the Marlins are 3-13. I know that the front office is trying not to win at this point. It's not to say that I'm not rooting for the guys that are there. I am. I will always root for the guys there. And I'm excited to see Eddie Cabrera back. I'm excited to see Braxton Garrett back. As you know, I'm a longtime fan of Ryan Weathers. And the AJ Puck situation, I do agree. You've gone this far. Keep it rolling. The question we had around Puck was, can he stay healthy? Right now, he's got a sickness and diarrhea bug. But apart from that, his arm's good, his shoulder's good. Let's go. So with Puck, I think you just keep it rolling for now. See where it goes. Can he morph himself into a frontline-ish starter? Because then he's got great trade value. And I guess that's what it's all going to boil down to. If they can make Puck look like a big league starter, probably a touch more valuable than a middle reliever. Yes, he might be a lefty, but still, if Puck can look like a stud, you can trade him as a stud. This is going to be really tough. Jazz Chisholm Jr., by the way, for those that are following Jazz, most people will. I don't think he's that heavy and doesn't use the block button or anything that much. So I guess everyone still has visibility of Jazz's tweets. Did anyone see Jazz's tweet earlier? It just came out of nowhere with no context. Just a message. Everyone was like, what the hell is Jazz going on about? Nice message and everything. But what the hell is he on about? Was it connected to the Max Meyer news? Did Jazz know? Is Jazz venting his frustration out onto Twitter again, which he's done before, around organizational decisions? The last time it was about him being sat in game 2 of the year, and Donnie sat him, I think, against a lefty. I think on the road against the Giants. The Giants are in town this week, by the way, if indeed you're worried about what's happening on field right now. But did Jazz know about the Max Meyer news and basically came out to say, I don't agree with this decision? This is the other interesting bit, right? What do the players think about this? What would you be thinking as a player on this roster? What are you thinking as Jazz Chisholm Jr. on this roster now? It must be so disheartening to be out there. You're out on the field and everything that surrounds it, the 162 regular season games, plus all the stuff in the offseason, plus all of spring, plus all of the travel, plus all the other stuff that, frankly, you don't want to do. It's an absolute slog. And it's only worth it if you're shooting for something and you're shooting for a postseason berth. It's a grind anyway. Even when even when things are good, the Bravos players will find it a grind. The Dodgers players will find it a grind. But imagine being a Marlins player now where the grind is real and the front office is saying to you, we're not trying to win. And keep grinding though, guys. I mean, that is like mental torture. Mental torture. Like, baseball careers are they're so short. We've seen it this year. Like, free agency has shown us these guys getting into like their first free agent period after like all the arbitration years. There's no market for them. None. You have a short career. And for Jazz, for example, he's now trapped on a club that's going into another rebuild. They may free Jazz pretty soon. I mean, Jazz is one of the biggest trade assets, in my opinion. I honestly believe that Jazz Chisholm Jr. has, I haven't thought about this too much in advance of this pod. So, this may be I may need to amend this statement in the future. But I think that Jazz offensively has the highest trade value, greater than Arraez, for all of the reasons I've already outlined. I think Jazz has the premier defensive position. Yes, he's got the injury history. He's got more control, though. He's got the upside. He's got everything. Swag, you name it. Like, if clubs like that, whatever. I think Jazz is right up there in terms of, like, trade value. I would have said that Luzardo was probably higher heading into this year. But if Luzardo drops off a cliff all of a sudden, like, man, is Jazz the asset? And that's kind of the problem here for this rebuild for the Marlins. I've spoke about this last week. What happens if clubs aren't buying what the Marlins are selling? What happens if they can't get back the talent they want? They break it down, but the farm ends up still bottom 10. And listen, I'm not a prospect guy. I don't buy into all the farm stuff. I don't waste my time on it, to be honest with you. Too many prospects that I've seen have been complete busts. Complete busts. So I don't worry about 19-year-old dudes and what they're doing, to be honest. I don't sign up for that. I sign up for the big league product. Let me just end it in this way. This was the biggest statement thus far. Even though in the offseason there was a lot of statements made due to the inactivity, this has been the biggest statement thus far that the Marlins aren't trying to win in 2024. There's still 146 games to go this regular season. But the front office doesn't want to win. For me, that is a disgrace. It is a disgrace for the fans. Sports are there for the fans. And frankly, the Marlins and their approach this year, they've shown they don't care. They've shown they do not care. And that is the biggest disappointment. For me as a fan, I'm a fan. And I do this pod because I'm a fan. I want to bring fun and entertainment to everyone that listens and follows the club. You know that. I find it hard I can't get behind this. I'm honestly scratching my head thinking, do I want to do this show? Do I really want to do Locked On Marlins? Peter Bendix and Bruce Sherman don't care about the Marlins fans. They don't care. They don't care about me. I do this show because people like it, but listen, I have to ask those questions myself. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, can I keep doing this? I don't know the answer to that. We'll see how things go. But nevertheless, guys, I'm going to end it there. It's an emotive topic. Emotive topic. After last year's high and this season's low, it's tough. It's tough being a Marlins fan. It's going to be rough the next few months. The on-field product's not going to be good, and all the guys that could be good will be traded. Thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen, guys. Please head into the YouTube comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know your reaction to this news. What have I missed? Because I probably have missed stuff because I'm feeling amped, as they say. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow to catch up on all the other news that's gone on and continues to go on. Hoy Soler, is he back at Lone Depot today? I think he is. Completely forgot about that. Nevertheless, look forward to seeing you then.